Right, hopefully at the second time of asking, this will be a little bit better for everyone. Let me just quickly throw Dom a quick invite. Where is Dom? Throw an invite to the game. Throw him an invite to the party. What happens when he is late joining? There we go. Right. There we go. There we go. I'm still getting issues. Why are we still getting issues? Behave, please. Thank you. Right. Hopefully we're going to be good. Right, we are good. I'm in. My audio can be heard. Panic over. So. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. After 11 rounds of racing, it comes down to this one final race. And by the end of tonight, we will be crowning both Season 12 drivers and constructors champions. 8 drivers can still win the world title. We are going to be in for a fantastic race this evening. You can hear in the background that we are getting ready to get things underway here in Singapore. So let's move over to the live screen so you can watch the action unfold right here on Twitch, because this is the Invictus Racing League Realistic Performance Season Finale. And there is the main man himself, Mr. Dom the Noodle. Good evening, Dom. Hopefully he heard all of that. Otherwise, I've just made a complete fool of myself. Which I probably have. There we go. We have Dom the Noodle. Good evening, Dom.
Good evening, Keiran. What type of fool have you made of yourself?
Well, I gave you a big, massive talk up, and you should join the party, and you weren't responding as I finished with the talk up that I gave you in the lead up to you joining the party. So now I feel really stupid.
Okay. Well, where did we get to?
Hello. Basically.
Singapore last race of the yeah, hello. Singapore last race of the season. Lots and lots of laps. Lots and lots of fun.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Top 8 can still win the driver's title. So it should make for a very, very interesting race this evening.
How many points between the top the top 8 at the moment?
Just been
I do
confirmed.
have it somewhere.
Been confirmed by the main man himself, Mr. Fairmotive, that it is a dry race all the way through, which is what we like to see. And hopefully, with this new way of us doing streams, you shouldn't have any audio issues, Mr. Noodle. Which will make things nice and easy for the wonderful viewers who are watching around the world on the Twitch channel and, of course, on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/InvictusRL. So what I will quickly do, whilst we are waiting for everyone to get themselves ready, I will jump over to the allocation screen just so you guys on the stream can see who's in which car and what positions they're going to be starting this race in. IRL Mats will be starting this race on pole position in the McLaren. Bots Gerbil will be second in the AlphaTauri. Stallion and Lightshot take up row 2. There we go. When I can speak English in Racing Point and Renaults respectively. DJ Danny and Raza take up row 3 in the AlphaTauri and McLaren. It is a full Ferrari row 4 of Sir Sharks and Fairmoto. James F1 ETC and El Senedo are in row 5 in a Renault and a Red Bull respectively. AMG Reckless and Jamie 29X are on row 6 in positions 11 and 12, and Remixo is in the Mercedes at the back of the grid in P13. So as I did say, it was any of one of the top 8 who were able to possibly win the driver's standings this evening. In fact, let's go for the rundown, because that's going to be a little bit easier for you guys to see who is fighting for what and what their positions currently look like. So we'll set that up here on stream for you guys now. As you can see on stream, those are the title breakdown numbers that you need. DJ Danny currently leads the way on 164 points. Bots Gerbil is in second on 155. Lightshock is third on 153. 151 for James F1, 150 for Sir Sharks, 146 for IRL Mats, 142 for Fairmoto, and 140 for Stallion W7. Of course, most of these guys are in this race. In fact, I believe all of these guys are in the race this evening. So all of these guys have a chance of winning the title. And we're going to jump back to the main screen because we're about to get going. Dom, what are your thoughts on this race?
So obviously I've just gone through the top 8 along with you, and I mean, I believe Stallion is 8th in the driver's standings. He would need everyone in this race to finish outside the top 10, which is, let's be honest, not going to happen. So you're really restricting it now, basically to the top 4, maybe. Due to the fact that everyone's here, but it's going to be interesting. Tuesday was interesting, last night was interesting, Monday was interesting, every night at IRL is interesting.
Indeed it is.
It'll be interesting to see tyre strategies, because we saw DJ Danny at Singapore on Tuesday do a 2-stop.
Well, I can tell you now, the tyre strategies are on screen for the main stream. Danny, Sir Sharks and Jamie29X are all on hards. Remixo is starting on the soft tyre. Everyone else is on mediums, Dom.
Yeah, I think DJ Danny's learnt his lesson. I hope Danny's learnt his lesson. I mean, I'm not going to say he bottled a title on Tuesday, but he very much did kind of throw it in the bin the second he went for the 2-stop strategy. I don't think he really trusted the medium-hard strategy too much, and found out that it worked for most of the other drivers, so it had to have worked for him, right? So hopefully he can give a good show of pace here. Also, he's not one of the slowest guys on the field either, so you know, I'd keep an eye out. I would definitely keep an eye out for DJ Danny. But to be fair, again, keep an eye on Lightshock, keep an eye on Stallion. Stallion could really make a mess of the field again. And like you said, Remixo is on the softs, so watch for his strategy, because like I said, the medium to hards is the optimal strategy to be on. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes with a soft medium or a soft hard.
Indeed, we shall wait and see. So, I have been reliably informed by the main man, Fairmoto. If Danny wins today, he wins the world title. He is driver's champion. He can finish top 5 if Gerbil wins, and he will be fine. Keith is pretty sure that if Danny finishes top 6, he is fine. But as soon as this race finishes, Fairmoto will be totting up the totals and telling me as quickly as he possibly can who the driver's champion is for both, well, who the champions are, sorry, for both drivers and constructors. So as soon as this race finishes in 31 laps time, you guys will know. As soon as I know, you guys will know. We are now getting ready for 5 red lights to go out in Singapore. This is Season 12, Round 12 finale of Realistic. We are racing now in Singapore. And it looks like Danny is off to a little bit of a slow start. Mats has got to a pretty good start. Lightshot tries to get an early move here on DJ Danny. In fact, gets that early move on Danny gone. Can Danny get it back? No, Danny cannot get it back. Lightshot moves up to P4 in the early stages of this race. Mats has dropped down from 1st down to 3rd. Botch Gerbil currently leading the way here. Remixo up 2 places very, very quickly. Up to P11 for that Mercedes driver of Remixo. Lightshock up to P3 now with IRL Mats. Lightshock really wants this driver's title, Dom.
Yeah, he does, and he wants it that bad that he was willing to exceed track limits at turn 1. He has got a warning for it, and that will now be overbearing on him for the next 31 laps or so. He's a really good driver. I gotta give it to him. He's a strong force and not to be reckoned with. Botch Gerbil, again, the same. He has been on form recently, and I believe he got a win last night on Tuesday.
Yeah, got a win on Tuesday. First ever win in Invictus for Botched Gerbil.
Yeah, so that's going to be another one that's really in his head, and it could be a shootout. And I'm not going to lie, between Botch Gerbil, Lightshock, and DJ Danny, I really think it could be.
It could well be, and I can't wait for it. We've got the guys in chat. We have got Rush400 who said Botch Dub, showing that support for Botch Gerbil. We looked at a yellow flag. Dom, okay,
yeah,
what have you
Stallion
seen?
has Stallion lost it in front of Lightshock out of turn, I believe it is the penultimate, well, one of the penultimate turns. I think it's the third to last turn, just out from underneath the bridge section. I think he just lit up the rear tyres a little bit too much, and it's cost him. That could be Stallion out. I'm not gonna lie.
Stallion is in the pits, so we will see what happens with that car of Stallion. Hopefully it doesn't end his race, and he will be okay to continue. Stallion has put those soft tyres on, so he's going to look to try and make as much time up as quickly as he can. We will now go to how things should properly be. Did Stallion take out Botch? No, he did not rush. The timing thing on the left was a timing glitch. It is a regular thing with Codemasters. Don't worry too much about it, because I can tell you that your man Botch Gerbil is currently leading the Grand Prix. He is up in P1. It obviously will show P2, but don't you worry. Botch Gerbil is the man currently in the lead of this race. Stallion is only just coming round that first DRS straight at the start of lap number 3. So Botch Gerbil is your winner, is your race leader. There we go. Everything has now gone back to normal. You can see Botch Gerbil leading the way in the AlphaTauri with that Renault of Lightshock trying to gain on him as quickly as he possibly can. IRL Max in the McLaren currently taking P3. DJ Danny is in 4th. Raza in 5th, under a lot of pressure from James F1 in the other Renault in 6th. Sir Sharks is in 7th. El Senedo 8th. AMG Reckless is 9th. James goes very, very wide into that final corner, but is able to hold it pretty well.
Yeah, he looks to have a lot of understeer in that Renault. I don't know if he's just not made his setup quite right for it, because it doesn't really matter too much on setups in equal performance, because of the fact that all cars are the same, so they all act the same until you change your setup a little bit. You can make it a little bit more stiff to oversteer a little bit more. You can make it a little bit softer to understeer a little bit more. But yeah, they matter a lot here, where the cars are completely different. They handle a lot more like they would in real life. Obviously, you don't get thrown about in your seat the way they do in real life, but you do get the sense of feeling that they do.
Indeed, we are watching an absolute battle between Remixo and Fairmoto. These guys have been battling since the first corner. Remixo finally, towards the end of Sector 2, gets the move done. Moves himself up into P10. We have got some very early penalties. 3 penalties apiece to Fairmoto and Jamie 29X in the Ferrari and the Red Bull respectively. So they will be for exceeding track limits. AMG Reckless looking to try and see if he can make a move on El Senedo here. We are 3 laps into 31. And we've had pretty much, I think, Dom, just as much action as we had on Tuesday night in the Equal Performance League. And we've only done 3 laps.
Possibly. It's been quite close, which is why it feels that way. Not many moves have happened yet.
Key word there.
Yeah. I think a few drivers are going to be looking to sort of save a little bit of DRS.
Fairmoto in the pits, Dom.
Undercut.
Fairmoto in the pits
for
hard, and it is for damage. There is a new front wing going onto that Ferrari, but that is Fairmoto on the hard tyre, meaning he can do a very, very long stint. Probably not long enough to go to the end, but probably long enough that he's able to potentially put a set of softs on towards the end of this race and probably be the fastest car out on track.
More than likely. I mean, the softs last about 7 to 10 laps here, I believe. I will confirm that momentarily. As soon as my my cheat sheet loads up a little bit. Yes, The soft ski, well, the soft, I'm a bit far out there. They can actually go from about 4 to 7 laps. So I mean, 7 onto 4, 7, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he could possibly do it. It's doable. If he can make the tires last their full length. It's gonna be tough, but it's doable. It is doable, and also he'll be on a lot lighter load of fuel too. So softs at the end might work. Might work.
Indeed, they might, Dom. We are currently watching AMG Reckless. Of course, last week's winner in Spain. For those who didn't watch last week's race, it was myself and Andrew Gatton on commentary. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. It was a fantastic, fantastic race as James F1 comes into the pits at the start of lap number 5 here in Singapore. Be interesting to see what tyre he's going to go onto. I would assume it will be a set of hards. It is the hard tyres. So that is going to be for another front wing as well. That is a new front wing on that Renault of James F1.
Yeah, there's it's starting to get interesting. A lot of drivers are in clean air, so they're all going to be wasting a little bit of fuel just to see if they can close the gap. And I'm looking down now at Light Shock, and he's really low on DRS. Not DRS, ERS. My bad. Apologies. Wrong word. Botch Gerbil is even lower, and I can't see past the helmet of IRL Mats, but I believe that's because the
Ooh, a little bit of a wobble by Max there as he comes out of that hairpin onto the second DRS straight. Could potentially open the door for Danny, but Danny's not close enough to be able to make a move just yet. Bear in mind, you have to remember, ladies and gents, that Danny is on the slower of these two tyres. He's on the hard tyre here. Matt's on the slightly faster medium tyre. So expect to see Matt initially pull away, but obviously with the power and knowledge and intelligence that DJ Danny has around a track like Singapore. Fun fact for those who may not know, DJ Danny at one point did set the fastest lap time in the world around this circuit. Granted, it was in wet conditions, but at one point he did have the fastest lap in the world around this track. So he knows this track very, very well done. We've lost Remixo and Jamie.
Remixo and Jamie 29X.
Looks to have been an incident on the
collision?
main straight. We're going to try and see if we can get someone who's on the way over that way. I think James F1 is probably going to be the next one to have a look. So we'll jump on board with James and just see if we can find out what's happened here. As James comes around the final corner, there's Remixo out on the right-hand side of the wall. Potentially, Jamie
that has to be a safety car.
Potentially, Jamie may have retired in the pits because they were very close to each other on the mini-map. But I think...
No, that didn't look like Jamie... that didn't look like Jamie retired in the pits. That very much looked like they tried to go too close together. One of them had hit the pit wall just as it splits the track from the pit lane. And that had sent the other one into the outside wall of the grandstand. So
what I may
I'll see if I can get one of them in Discord to let me know what happened.
Well, I was going to go more on the fact that we've got Mr. Andrew Gatton in the chat. Of course, Andrew does have access to the Realistic Performance Discord. Andrew, could you potentially have a look in that Discord and just see if anyone comments on it? If so, could you let one of us know in the ACC chat, please, my friend? Thank you in advance. AMG Reckless here looking to potentially make a move on Raza. He has lost his teammate Remixo from the race this evening. Not ideal, but it's how things go. Thank you, Mr. Goose. Pit window has opened for those on a two-stop strategy on mediums. Laps 7 to 9 for that pit strategy to open. AMG Reckless, is he going to get close enough to Raza here to potentially make a move using DRS along this first DRS straight? Dom, move the phone away from the your mic because he can hear me on stream twice.
You should be able to hear you twice.
I did.
Have I got the Twitch loaded up? I haven't got Twitch loaded up.
It's very strange then, because I definitely heard myself twice. That was very, very weird.
Have you got the stream loaded up by chance?
Yeah, but the sound's not on. That's really, really weird. That was very, very strange. That was very, very strange. So apologies if you did hear my voice twice then. Mr. Goose has confirmed both died, last corner, no contact, just dirty air. So there's no collision, Dom. It was just two drivers losing traction on the final corner.
Nasty.
Indeed.
Nasty. I'm very much looking at the next few parts of the track where last week on Tuesday, sorry, they locked up quite a bit going into a few turns, and there was just some really thick black lines. I know exactly what corner you're talking about. Yeah,
it was a few corners ago from the one we're just seeing on stream at the moment. Raza, could he potentially look to make a move on DJ Danny down this main straight? We are on lap 8 of 31 here in Singapore. This is Season 12, Round 12 action. This is the season finale of the Realistic Performance Division. My name is Keiran Wright, 92, and of course I am joined by my normal broadcast colleague on a Tuesday night for the Equal Performance League, Dom the Noodle. Fortunately, both Andrew Gatton and Matty Valland are unable to be here this evening, so you're stuck with the Equal Performance boys for the last race of the season. Don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Then again, it is myself and Dom. We are the A team when it comes to Xbox comms here at Invictus, and anything Andrew and Matty tell you is complete, utter bull.
Yeah, we're the best team. Hashtag EQ best team. Yeah, no, I've had a look at that line. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. It's dark enough to consider a slippy one. If you go on board with Botch Jibble, you'll probably see him get affected by it the most. They're just about to enter the turn now.
Yeah, you can already see that black line forming as Dom was just talking about.
Oh, Stallion's in the pits for a set of hards.
So that's potentially going to be Stallion now going till the end of the race. Andrew has also commented each side of the track, actually, and was in sync. So it was literally just both drivers, one on each side of the track, completely losing traction and ending up in the wall, unfortunately, which isn't ideal.
Lovely.
Indeed.
Lovely. But yeah, no, seriously, guys, EQ best team. Yeah, we're better than them. We're better than them. We're not afraid to admit it. I've been riding on board with people for a while, by accident, because I accidentally knocked the camera type button. Strange.
Ooh, let's jump up and see Light Shock. Light Shock is now within a second of Botch Gerbil, so we will definitely have a look at that. He's got that DRS, but of course he is in a Renault, and Botch Gerbil in the AlphaTauri, and Dom knows the game a bit better than I do. I believe the AlphaTauri is the faster car? On paper?
Quite equal, actually. They're very close in the way they work. So, on paper, the AlphaTauri has a much better turning circle, very much because it was the year before's Red Bull, and we all know what Red Bull are like for their ability to send a car into a turn. But on paper, the Renault does have a faster straight line speed, so it'll be interesting to see which sections these two can sort of close the gap and pull away from each other. So, but yeah, they're very equal on paper when I look at it properly. And sort of
Reckless going to make a move here on Mats. He does indeed make a move on Mats up the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick though? Mats is still just edging it. El Senado trying to get involved in the battle as well. That was so close between those drivers. Mats has unfortunately come out the biggest loser there. Mats has dropped quite a few positions in a very, very short space of time. He's dropped from 3rd down to 7th in the space of about 4 or 5 corners. So I'm wondering whether there's potentially an issue in that McLaren, Dom. Oh, El Senado is in a wall, Dom. El Senado is in a wall. IRL Max is coming into the pits. Reckless also into the pits. Reckless and Max both into the pits. Just a tyre change for Reckless. Reckless now on the hard tyre.
It's a wing change for the McLaren though.
It is a wing change from IRL Max. That could be why Max was so slow. El Senado is definitely going to have to come in for a new wing. We did see him in a wall a few moments ago. So we'll jump back up to the top of the timing screens now. We'll have a look at the main man, Mr. Lightshock 16. trying to hunt down Botch Gerbil. You have seen, guys, there have been a few more penalties. Raza currently on 6, AMG Reckless on 9, James F1 on 3, Fairmoto on 3, El Senedo on 6, Stallion on 5, which means he's sped into the pit lane, Dom.
Yeah, it's quite easy to pick up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits.
Especially in the
it takes a lot of it takes a lot of practice to get it nailed, and you want to be as fast as possible into the pits in a way. You want to be braking at the latest possible second and not really caring about the tyres because you're going to change them anyway. So you can technically lock up into the pits and not really worry about it. But the fact that he's got 5 seconds here, where you actually have to kind of go around a pretty sharp 90-degree turn to get into the pit lane, it's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie.
Indeed, it is. Lightshock has now got that gap down to less than half a second. This is definitely going to now be the chance Lightshock needs to potentially get this move on Botch Gerbil. He has got DRS, fuel mix 3, ERS open, pulls to the left, doesn't get close enough to Botch Gerbil though to be able to make the move on that AlphaTauri. But as Dom said, not close enough yet. Lightshock is close enough. He will get a chance to make another move very, very shortly. We will stay on with this battle. Lightshock making a very slight change to his wheel there. Probably differing fuel mixes, jumping between mix 3 and mix 2 to make him as fast as possible. Here is where you will see Lightshock get his second bite of the cherry. Looks to be a lot closer, gets a much better exit compared to that AlphaTauri, but the acceleration from that AlphaTauri of Botch Gerbil was insane there. Probably dumping a fair bit of ERS there was Botch Gerbil. He's only down to 10% ERS left in his tank, so he will be looking to maintain some of that through the next few corners and will not want to use that too much, Dom.
No, and I can tell you for a fact that the strategy is going for Lightshock is very much going to be based on Botch Gerbil's strategy. When Botch Gerbil pits, so will Lightshock. I can very much see that happening, unless
Botch Gerbil's coming into the pits, Lightshock stays out. Lightshock has stayed out, potentially going for an overcut.
I can see why. He had DRS on him. That will allow you both clean air through that main DRS straight, and it'll allow you a bit of clean air just to put an extra lap on him. He could come out behind anyone, so he could get stuck in traffic. That DRS that Lightshock had could have gained him an extra 4/10.
Indeed, it could. The gap currently separating Lightshock and DJ Danny is 12.5 seconds. Lightshock will now be using as much as he possibly can from that car to try and get the most out, to get the biggest possible lead he can over DJ Danny as these drivers prepare for their pit stops. Expect to see Lightshock and Raza into the pits very, very soon. DJ Danny can go just that little bit longer. I'm sure Dom will be able to tell us a number in terms of a one-stop strategy for those hard runners very, very shortly. I'll give him a chance to try and find that.
Found it.
There we go.
Lap 17 to lap 20, you're looking at a pit stop for the hard runners. However, it's a lap 11 to 14 for the medium runners. So Lightshock would be looking to come in the next 2 or 3 laps.
That would of course be the same.
So yeah,
with
keep
Raza
an eye out on
as
that.
well.
Yeah.
So Raza and Lightshock, expect to see those guys come into the pits within the next few laps, next 2 or 3 laps maybe. We will watch as Lightshock is approaching the pits, comes into the pits. He does indeed come into the pits. We will now watch DJ Danny then. Is Danny going to be able to potentially get a move on Lightshock down that first straight? Is he going to beat him out of the pits? Comes around the final corner, now does Danny, across the line, down the straight. Lightshock is still stuck in the pits. DJ Danny gets that position. DJ Danny takes P1. Raza also comes into the pits from third place. Botch Gerbil now up to fourth, potentially making a move on Sir Sharks. Look at the move on the Indle. Looks for a move up the inside. Lightshock has come out in front of Botch Gerbil. Lightshock is out ahead of Botch Gerbil. The overcut has worked for Light Shock. Botch Gerbil may have potentially got stuck in a little bit of traffic with Sir Sharks and Raza. As a result, Light Shock is the biggest winner here. He has been able to come in and out of the pits and maintain that lead that he got over Botch Gerbil when Botch Gerbil came into the pits. Botch Gerbil, though, as you can see, is now right behind that Renault of Light Shock. That should make the rest of this race very, very interesting, Dom.
Yeah, it will. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure they both run no traction as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with the tyres towards the end of the race, and it'll be interesting to see how Botch Gerbil copes with tyres if they drop off before Light Shocks. Not only that, I mean, you said something earlier between mix 2 and 3 for fuel. I could probably see a few of these drivers dropping down to mix 1 on the exit of corners, because less power means better traction, and then as soon as you found the traction out of the corner, which is all you need, just back up to mix 2 or 3 and you can get the acceleration. But it depends as to whether or not you're willing to use that mix 3 for an extra 0.2 of a second, which is what I believe Botch Gerbil has been doing up until this point.
Well, I can confirm, Dom, that Rush400R in chat, who I'm assuming is a friend of Botched Gerbils, has confirmed that your suspicions were correct. Botch definitely does run no traction.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he also runs no assists at all. I think he's a no assists kind of guy.
Yeah, Botch says Botch runs nothing, so I assume that means no assists at all.
Yeah, no braking line, no ABS. I mean, you can see the ABS. You see he locked up a few times on Tuesday. He's locked up a few times here, and that is completely fine. Especially when it gets through certain turns where there is a lot of rubber and the cars just kind of like skid over the top of it. Is why they lock up, because they haven't got anything to grip to when they're under brakes. So yeah, but 10 seconds now between Light Shock and Danny. Danny does still have to pit, and my housemate has just dropped something on the floor again.
Of course he has. So we are now with Raza here, trying to hunt down James F1 for P6. Yeah, Rush has confirmed. Yeah, he's the homie. There we go.
That black line is rather thick at this point. I mean, it's only going to get thicker.
Yeah, but to be fair, it was around this time on Tuesday night that we also noticed that line was getting thicker from this point onwards. So expect to see that line that we just saw Raza run through get very, very dark as the race progresses.
There's also a few things I've noticed in this race compared to the last one. It might just be because of the realistic performance cars, I'm not quite sure, I haven't tried it. But I've noticed that they overcorrect a little bit on the exit of the final turn, and they come back towards the track more. I mean, these cars are... I mean, the wheels sit wider than the rumble strips, so I mean, you could technically leave the rumble strip in the middle of the car and stay off track and keep yourself there, ready for the next turn. But I mean, all the dust and tire rubber and stuff like that that's off the side of the track might be a bit harder to do so. But I mean, I'm more than likely one of them will correct me after the race.
I'm sure they will, my friend. Raza getting a little bit closer to James now. He's within a half a second of that Red Bull in the McLaren here. Pretty much very similar engines here. Of course, McLaren in the F1 2020 game do use a Renault engine. So this is pretty much the same engine. Obviously, that little bit of
Stallion
extra power
is around.
In the Renault one. Stallion indeed going coming up towards that final corner there, has had a little bit of a spin. Has able to correct himself pretty well though. We will run on board with Raza actually as he comes down this DRS straight. Is he going to be able to get close enough to James F1 to potentially make a move? He is not going to be able to do so. James is going to be able to maintain that P6. Looking now at DJ Danny and Sir Sharks. Their pit window will open in a couple of laps time. I'm sure Danny will have just been told by his Jeff that your pit window opens in a couple of laps. You're approaching your pit window. You'll be moving on to, I would assume, Dom, the mediums from this point?
I mean, I would. You'd be he'd be foolish not to after after Tuesday's performance. And I'm not saying it was a bad performance; it was a great show from DJ Danny. Brilliant showing from him. But I mean, he could have done with the one stop and probably would have won the race, if I'm being honest. But you learn, you live, you move on. And I think that's what he's done. He's realised his mistake and he's going to show exactly what he's capable of, and even bag himself a possible driver's title this season after all.
Indeed. Unfortunately, we have lost El Cinedo in the pits. He has unfortunately had to retire from the race. Unlucky El Cinedo. He does normally jump into the Twitch chat when he has an incident like this in the race, so I expect to see El Cinedo in the chat quite shortly. Hopefully he's not too upset with his performance. But that, of course, does now bring an end to El Cinedo's Season 12 here at Invictus. Hopefully he's back for Season 13. Sir Sharks drops a place to AMG Reckless. Reckless moves up to P4 now. Very, very strong showing from AMG Reckless. As I say, the man who won last week in Spain. If you haven't gone and watched that race last week from Spain, head over to that YouTube channel, youtube.com/InvictusRL, and go and check out the race, along with all of the other final race deciders that we have had this week from Singapore in Invictus. There have been some absolute crackers this week so far to round off Season 12. All of the races from Invictus across all of our leagues will always be posted on that YouTube channel. So please feel free to jump over there, give it a subscribe when you're over there, go and show some love to the the other members, I should say, sorry, of the Invictus Racing League family. And if you want to get
involved, not the regular realistic boys, because they've abandoned you this week.
now, don't be nice. If you want to get involved in the conversation, if you want to get involved in the conversation, guys, head over to the Twitter. At InvictusRL is the main Invictus Twitter. If you want to get to the Xbox specific side of things, InvictusRL underscore Xbox is the place you want to be. Of course you can, mate.
I'd say within the next 3 laps at most, 2 to 3 laps, Lightshock will be within striking distance of DJ Danny. He has put about 2 seconds a lap on DJ Danny. It is scary how fast he's caught him. He's also put about 4/10 on Botch Gerbil in the past 3 laps or so, which some people would consider to be an insignificant amount. But I mean, this is F1 where everything goes down to the 1,000th of a second, faster than the human eye can see. So, yeah, I mean, he's now within 3.7 seconds of DJ Danny. I'm gonna jump on board with DJ Danny real quick, just to check his tyre wear. They look pretty clean at the moment, but they have got to be screaming for help right now.
I mean, we are on lap 18. You did say the pit window for those hard tyres is anything from lap 17 to 20. So expect to see DJ Danny and Sir Sharks into the pits very, very soon. Danny's going to have a lot of pace at the end, but the traffic probably going to hold him up. It is indeed rush. If he doesn't think about coming into the pits sooner rather than later, it could end up hurting him in the long run. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't hurt him, but we will have to wait and see. Ross is still not able to get close enough to James F1 to make that move. We've got another Botch Gerbil fan in the building. Calzona's in the chat as well. Calzona, welcome in, my friend. Botch Gerbil is currently in P3. He has already boxed, so he is a net P2. DJ Danny still yet to pit from the lead.
He has to pit now.
We will see.
He has to pit now.
We will see. We'll ride on board with Danny across Sector 3 now to see. You can see that black line getting darker and darker around those
Look
corners.
at his tyres. You can see the tyre bubbles where the tyres start to tear. It's going to be interesting. Is he going to pit? He has to.
Fairmoto's
lost it.
We have lost Fairmoto. Danny pits. Danny has pitted. DJ Danny in the pits. Let's see what tyres go onto that AlphaTauri. Lightshock takes the lead of this race. Botch Gerbil now currently in second place. The Gerbil gang are in the building. How are we doing, guys? Welcome into the chat. DJ Danny putting on those medium tyres, Dom. It is the mediums on that AlphaTauri. Sir Shark's also coming into the pits. Expect to see the same from him as well. DJ Danny is going to come out in P6. He is out in P6. He is behind this Raza and James F1 battle. That has very much opened up this championship. I know the gap between Botch Gerbil and DJ Danny before this race, I believe, was around the 9-point mark. So it'll be very, very interesting to see whether the current gap between these two drivers is going to be enough. Let's have a look at that fastest lap whilst we're thinking about it. Fastest lap is currently held by Stallion with a 1:39.827. That is the fastest lap so far, so he will get the fastest lap point so far. But we shall see.
Also, DJ Danny is on fresh mediums, so take that into account as well.
Yes, indeed.
Also, I've just had a thought. So if the hards caught the hards at about 2 seconds a lap after they'd been on for about 18, 19 laps...
How quickly are these mediums going to catch the hards?
At roughly the same time, because Lightshock and Botch Gerbil are going to be on roughly the same age tyres come the end of the race, so... It's going to be interesting.
It is.
It's going to be a weird one. James F1's going to have to pit again, for sure. He's not going to be able to last on those hards, but I can see him going to softs because of how close it is to the end of the race. He's got about 7 laps left in him, but I can see him going for maybe another 3, at most 4, before he drops in for a set of softs. That could be a deciding factor here as well. For where James F1 finishes, because of the fact that he's got that soft compound to rely on, and they will be pretty quick, to be fair. Also, another thing I've just thought of, everyone gains points here, right?
Correct.
But even if this was equal performance, the top 10 would still be gaining points. We no longer have a top 10, we have a top 9.
Correct. We do indeed, my friend, and if we have a look at the race document that we were sent by the main man himself, Mr. Fairmoto.
Oh no! This is gonna be...
Woohoo! That's close! That's very close driving between these three. Danny, is he going to finally make that move on Raza? Is he going to make the move on Raza down the straight here, going into the very, very tight cornering section here? He gets in front of that McLaren. He's ahead of Raza. He gets the move done on Raza. That's Danny up to P5, and now he will hunt down James F1, ETC in that Renault. This should be a pretty simple overtake here for DJ Danny. Gonna have DRS. We will watch. That rear wing is open indeed. Sits behind James, pulls to the left. James is gonna have the inside line, pushes Danny really, really wide. Almost pushes Danny into the wall. Danny is able to stop that car just in time, though. There is that black line that Dom was mentioning earlier on, getting darker and darker every single lap. The Gerbil gang are in the building. James driving very, very defensively here against DJ Danny. Is he going to be able to potentially hold off Danny? I don't think he will, especially not coming around the final corner with that DRS straight. Here we go. The drivers are now coming around the final corner to start lap 21 for these guys. Danny with that DRS wide open. He's going to try and get as close as he can to James F1. Pulls to the left. Has a little look. Can't make the move. James holds on to P4. This is very, very close battling here between two very, very competent drivers here in Invictus. Danny's got a very, very good exit though. Plays a little bit of a fake there to James. Made James think he was going to go for a move and didn't.
I don't know, that looked very much like he backed out because he knew James was going to close the gap on him.
But James... no backing out this time, they're getting side by side. DJ Danny, they've both gone on. Oh my goodness. They got a little bit too close to each other there. And both went straight on.
I was on board with DJ Danny there. I was on board with DJ Danny there, and his driver put his hand up. I have a feeling that DJ Danny was saying a lot worse than just putting his hand up in that situation. But it's what you call hard driving, and DJ Danny, one of the best attacking drivers I've seen in a while, against James F1, someone who's also very, very good at defending. I'm not surprised it came to that at all. but he does now have to do that move on Raza again, and it has cost him when it comes to the fight for P1.
Indeed it has. So I've just got the race document up that we get from the main man himself, Mr. Fairmoto, who has unfortunately retired from this race, with the top 9 finishing, meaning the person who finishes in 9th place at the moment, Sir Stallion, will gain 12 points.
Lightshock has a penalty.
Lightshock does indeed have a penalty. I think it's going to be a 3-second. It is a 3-second. At the moment, Botched Gerbil is net P1. He needs to remain within 3 seconds of Lightshock and not get a penalty himself. If he is able to do that, Botched Gerbil will make it a clean sweep in Singapore, because he will be able to follow up the race win that he got on Tuesday night in the equal performance with a race win here in the realistic as well. And that will give him 25 very, very valuable points in the driver's standings. And with DJ Danny currently in 5th, I think, if my math serves me correctly, that will tie these two up in the driver's championship. If that is the case,
then it should go down to
it would go to count
wins,
back,
right?
and I believe Danny has more race wins, so Danny would potentially win it on count back. But you also have to bear in mind the fact that Lightshock is also in and around that as well. But of course, Lightshock is slightly behind both of these two guys. Botched Gerbil is the driver in P2 in the driver's standings at present.
Botched Gerbil's under a lot more pressure than you think as well. He's already had an invalidated lap time from the race, so he would have got that as a...
Danny looking to potentially get a move on Raza. Gets close to that wall. Danny has been able to break away from James F1 and is now trying to hunt down Raza here in the McLaren. He's got very, very close once already. Has another quick look. Does not go for the move though. Will look to just sit behind this McLaren until he gets round to the final corners. And at that point, he will deploy his attack. We are into the final 9 laps here in Singapore. Raza goes very, very wide on exit there. DJ Danny, this could be a pretty simple move for Danny here. Going into T1, Raza looks to try and go deep, but isn't able to make anything happen there. DJ Danny takes P4, and that puts Danny back into the driver's seat in terms of these driver standings.
Yeah, it does, and yeah, as I was saying, so Botched Gerbil as well, so, I mean, if he wants any hope of winning this, he's got a slight problem. He's under a lot of pressure. He has had an invalidated lap time, which you get usually for cutting a corner, and he's had a warning, so one more warning, he gets a penalty.
I will say though, Dom, oh no, it's just race control being very, very delayed in telling me that Lightshot got that 3-second time penalty. Gosh, that was a delayed decision there from race control.
Okay, but is it delayed, or has he got another?
No, I've just checked the penalty screen. It is only 3 seconds worth of penalties for Lightshot. So it was just a very, very delayed by the race control here in the game.
Well, I'm glad you're getting notifications, because I'm not, and it's starting to irritate me slightly. I actually have to check every now and then to see who's got what, because it doesn't tell me.
Well, I'll tell you the current penalty situation now. Lightshock 3 seconds, AMG Reckless 9 seconds, Raza 12, James F1 3, IRL Match 3, Sir Sharks 3, and Stallion 8. 2 drivers currently on the grid without penalties. They are DJ Danny and Botched Gerbil, our top 2 in the driver standings.
Yeah, quite right. And I'd also like to point out here that I said, ooh, DJ Danny just went fast this lap. Nice. I don't know what the fastest lap was. I'll tell you now.
It's a 139.6. It was a 39.8 originally by Stallion. Danny has gone 0.2 faster in that AlphaTauri. But we are going to watch Sir Sharks here. He's going to look to make a very, very easy move here on IRL Max. Has that DRS, has that ERS. Pulls across to the left-hand side. Matt knows. I think Matt knows that this is going to be done. Potentially could come back. Doesn't do so. That is P7 for Sir Sharks in the Ferrari. He will now look to try and catch up to his teammate in the Shark Nipples F1 team, James F1 ETC.
Yeah, this is where it's going to get really interesting. Tyre strategies have played a lot here. tyre wear is going to play a lot coming into the next few laps, especially for the hard runners, especially for AMG Reckless, especially for James, especially for Stallion, and even IRL Mats is in there too. Those tyres are really starting to look old. So yeah, keep an eye on anyone that's got, I'd say, more than 6 laps worth of tyre wear, even the hard runners, because that's where your tyres. I mean, the hards really pick up around lap 6, but they really start to die off around. They start to look old after around lap 10. So anyone that's on hards after lap 10, yeah, they're gonna be slower. Also, DJ Danny has just gone fastest again, 1:39.594, so only 0.006 of a second faster.
Rasa coming into the pits on those hard tyres, so maybe he is struggling a little bit for grip, or potentially is it damage? It is damage. It is damage. He's put on a set of soft tyres though, so expect to see that fastest lap disappear. Rasa in that McLaren this evening.
Yeah, sure. I agree with that, but I mean,
so Shark making a very good.
James does have to.
Very good move there around James F1. That moves Sir Sharks up into 5th place. He now has an 11.3 second gap to try and make up, to catch up to DJ Danny. I'm just going to have a quick look. I think, with the current penalty situation as it is, DJ Danny is net P3, Dom. AMG Reckless has 9 seconds worth of penalties. Oh, actually, maybe not. No, I think Reckless is currently
17.5 tenths.
I think. Yeah, no, sorry. Yes, it's a 17-second gap, isn't it, from Danny to Reckless?
Yes, 17.5 second gap.
So Danny has a lot of work to do if he wants to try and get P3. So
and he doesn't have long to do so.
He does not. We have got 6 laps left of this race here in Singapore. Let's jump up and see Light Shock. We haven't seen Light Shock for a while. Very good friend of myself and Dom's outside of racing. So it's good to potentially have a chat with Mr. Light Shock after this race. I will quickly jump down to James, though.
Really good lad.
James getting very close to potentially making a move on Sir Sharks. Is he going to be able to get that position back on that Ferrari? Sits behind the Ferrari, goes very wide again.
I don't think he's checking on his tyre wear.
James is really struggling here on these hard tyres.
I'm gonna drop down to see what's going on with his tyres, because they are worn. They are dead.
I mean, I did some stress testing around this track when I drove. Granted, I was in a Haas on realistic performance when I drove around this track, but the tyres for me on hards lasted about 23 laps before they went bang. So I'm expecting to see.
Yeah,
James,
not just that. I mean, what type of assist were you using as well?
What I would normally use, so medium traction.
Medium traction ABS on. So yeah,
Indeed.
Unfortunately, his front tyres are going to have locked up. Yeah, he's going to have locked up, and if he doesn't use traction at all, those tyres are going to have spun a few more times. So 23 laps for you might just be 21 for James.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll let Dom keep an eye on James F1. We are going to go and jump up to Bots Gerbil. We've got the Gerbil gang in the chat, so we may as well jump in and see what Bots Gerbil is up to at the moment. Sitting nice and pretty at the moment. He's got 3.5 seconds to try and see if he can catch up to Light Shock. Of course, needs to really get within 3 seconds of Light Shock if he is to try and looking to gain that P1, from Light Shock.
Again, 2 for 2.
He would be 2 for 2. Would be 2 for 2 in Singapore if he is able to make it work. But this does look like a very good race here for Bots Gerbil. We'll have a look at the position changes to give you an idea of who's been the best movers and shakers so far this race. AMG Reckless up 8 positions to P3. It's had a very strong race. Light Shock himself is up 3 to P1. Same with James, up 3 to P6. Sir Sharks is up 2 to P5. DJ Danny up 1 from his starting position. Bots Gerbil has stayed where he is. In terms of the biggest losers, however, though, it is unfortunately IRL Mats, the man who did start this race on pole position, currently down in P8, Don.
Yeah, and the other 4 are Firmoto, Alcinado, Ramisco, and Jamie29X, all 4 people who have crashed out of this race. Now, actually, tell a lie, Alcinado retired in the pits, but technically a crash out, in a way. Didn't finish the race. Retired the car. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I say it's going to be interesting at this point, let's be honest. Unless James pits, we pretty much know how it's going to end. Also, if James does pit now, he is coming out ahead of Raza. If he pits, like, now. He has to pit now.
Does he pit? James F1 ETC, we will have a look. He's coming under the bridge now. Is he going to come into the pits? Let's have a watch of James F1 ETC in this Renault. Looking to end lap 27. Is he going to come into the pits? He does not.
No.
He stays out though.
He must be treading on thin ice.
I'm sure you will
He has to be treading on thin ice.
I'm sure you will have conversations with James. I know you and James do talk a fair little bit in the Discord, so I'm sure you and James will have a little conversation about those tyres after the race. And you'll be able to see what was going through his mind, whether his tyres are actually fading off as much as you thought. Raza has come into the pits. Raza has entered.
But even the rear
the
tyres have got
pits.
wear in 2 spots. So you know how the tyres sort of degrade in 1 spot on the fronts? They degrade in 2 spots on the rears, and that's how you can tell as to whether or not you really need to pit if the second degradation line has come into play. And the second degradation line looks to have been in play for a little while now. I haven't quite noticed it up until recently. There's actually 3 lines. Thin ice, more like trying to carry a glass of water through an earthquake.
Oh, that's going to change things. Botched Gerbil picks up a 3-second time penalty. If Botched Gerbil wants to take P1 now, he needs to overtake Light Shock on track. He only has 3 laps to be able to do that. Carbon Gaming is in the chat. Carbon Gaming, welcome in. I hope you are well. This is the season finale for the Realistic Performance League here in IRL. Light Shock is currently leading the race in the Renault car for the Only Fools and Horsepower team. Botched Gerbil is in second place for Viper Motorsports. AMG Reckless for Wells F1 is currently in third. DJ Danny for the Hotshot Racing team currently in P4.
He nudged his car that way. He's really pushing the limits. What are you doing, son?
Tyres may be okay in the front. James F1, to give you an idea, Rush, is in the Renault. James F1 is in that Renault. You can see that these tyres are really starting to look worn now. But James, as I say,
go on board with him and then look back, and you'll see the degradation on those rear tyres.
Yeah, we can see it on the stream. But as we both know, Dom, James is a very, very competent driver. James knows what he's doing. He's no slouch when it comes to racing here in Invictus. Light Shock crosses the line for the 29th time, starts lap 30, the penultimate lap here in Singapore. This will be the penultimate lap of Realistic Performance Racing here at Invictus for Season 12. This has been a fantastic, fantastic season so far. Dom and I did join in at the start of the season. We took over comms from Japan, had a couple of races before the fantastic Andrew Gatton and Matty Valander took over until today's race. Unfortunately, Andrew and Matty were both unavailable for this evening, so you're stuck with us. But I suppose it is nice, in a way, Dom, if you think about it, that the 2 guys that started the comeback for Invictus on Twitch for Season 12 are the 2 guys that get to finish Season 12 for Invictus here on Twitch. I mean,
yeah, that's why we're
nice.
in it. I mean, that's why we go. You can't beat the classics. You can't beat the guys that brought it back to Twitch. And like I said, EQ best team. Trust me, that hashtag is going up as we speak.
I'm sure it is.
So yeah, go out, hashtag EQ best team, and we know exactly where your loyalty lies. I mean, also, yeah, the two boys that are usually here are really great, and obviously other commitments have hindered their ability to be with you guys tonight. But I know that um, Andrew is around and about every now and then, and I know Matty wishes he could be. Um, so they do still love you. They just can't commentate, unfortunately. And commentating through someone else's stream would be kind of weird. So I understand as to why they pulled us two in tonight. Um, I'm really hoping this all ends for James real soon, because it looks like it's getting harder and harder out there for him. He's so much slower around the track.
I'm going to tell you something now, Dom. We're on the final lap of the race. But would you like to know something very, very interesting in terms of our very good friend, Mr. Lightshock's car? He has a red flashing fuel light. He's not long started the lap. He has a red flashing fuel light. Lightshock's car is pretty much out of fuel, saying that so is Botch Gerbil's. Botch Gerbil and Lightshock both have red flashing fuel lights on their cars. They are running very, very low on fuel. Expect to see Mix 1 through the majority of these corners. They'll probably turn it up to Mix 2 on the straights. There is Botch Gerbil. You saw him there on that camera view. Lightshock is taking the turn now, coming up towards the end. Oh, well, sorry, now halfway through Sector 3.
That line isn't as thick as it was on Tuesday.
It's not. Bear in mind, Don, you do have to remember, we do only have 13 cars. When we did the race on Tuesday, we did pretty much have a full grid.
Quite true.
But I will now take you through these final few corners. Lightshock 16, for only fools and horsepower, wins the Singapore Grand Prix, wins the season finale here in Invictus. Botch Gerbil crosses the line in P2, and we will now watch to see AMG Reckless come and cross the line in P3. DJ Danny has done well, but not enough to get himself onto the podium. But we may well be getting DJ Danny into the party, because I have a very funny feeling that the man who has just crossed the line could well be your Season 12 Drivers' Champion. I will let Fairmoto, the main man himself, confirm that for us, but I am very, very sure that the man on screen right now, DJ Danny, in the AlphaTauri, is going to be crowned your Drivers' Champion here in the realistic performance. Sir Sharks finishes in P5. We will now watch James F1 ETC on tyres that Dom the Noodle didn't think were going to last. He's taking the final corner now. James F1 crosses the line and finishes in P6. IRL Max crosses the line in P7. We will now wait for Raza to cross the line to finish in P8. Stallion has already crossed the line. He was lapped by some of the leaders earlier on in this race. So we'll now just watch as the McLaren of Raza, crosses the line. There we go. They are all of your finishers, and that was the Singapore Grand Prix on Season 12 here in the Invictus Racing League Realistic Performance. Driver of the day goes to AMG Reckless. We've got a couple of the guys jumping into the party. Guys, don't worry too much about having to include audio. We are streaming straight through a PC, so your audio will automatically be included.
I'm just waiting for the thing to load up so I can invite.
I will tell you now, Dom, Reckless does not have a mic, so Reckless will not be able to jump in with us. So what I might suggest is potentially inviting Danny.
I'll be inviting Danny anyway, because if I'm not mistaken, he did just. There's no way he didn't.
But let's have a look. We've turned up the guys in the party, so you wonderful people on the Twitch stream will be able to hear them. We will get the final standings appearing on screen right now. There we go. Lightshot 16 picks up the race win. Botch Gerbil in second. AMG Reckless in third. DJ Danny 4th. Sir Sharks in 5th. James F1 ETC in 6th place. IRL Mass in 7th. Raza in 8th. Stallion in 9th. Fairmoto finishing. Fairmoto did not finish, unfortunately, in 10th, along with El Senedo, Remixo, and Jamie29X. Whew! What a race that was, Dom.
Oh, what a race! I mean, like I said, it all came down to penalties and strategy. And the guy that's just joined the party, DJ Danny, he learned from Tuesday's mistake, and it's paid off quite nicely for him, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, you'll get that confirmation momentarily.
Indeed, just going to wait for the main man, Fairmoto, to tot everything up. But whilst we're doing that, we will have a chat with the guys who finished on the podium. I know he didn't finish on the podium, Dom, but do you want to start with Danny anyway? He was P4 today. Of course, we couldn't get AMG Reckless, and unfortunately doesn't have a microphone at present. So I'll let you have a chat with Danny first.
Yeah, congratulations to that, mate. What a performance that was. I mean, you learned from your mistake doing a two-stop on Tuesday, I'm guessing. I mean, you seem to do a little bit better on that strategy. Give us your thoughts on how your race went.
The first stint was okay. I mean, lap one was, I was cautious and I basically I got forced off the road, which was, I was just like diving out of the way because I was like, just need to finish this race. Because my start was pretty good, but then, yeah, I don't know who it was that came up the inside, but yeah, it was just not to make sure there was no contact, no damage, and then yeah, it was tough in the dirty air with mats for the first few laps, but yeah, I knew that if I could get far into the race, then maybe a safety car or something might help me out. But yeah, and then the medium stint, I was quick, and then yeah, I don't know if you got it on stream, but there was a few battles that were strong defenses. I'll put it as that.
Yeah, I caught that one, and I was gonna ask you about it. Obviously, James is a really good defensive driver, and you both looked to go on. Was that just both of you kind of outbreaking yourself in that turn? Because let's be honest, that's the battle you're on about.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I didn't stop is because I couldn't turn. Because yeah, I got squeezed into the wall pretty much. I mean, I got squeezed into the wall by James and then the McLaren, and yeah, it cost me probably like 5-6 seconds, which then I would be on the podium. So it's frustrating with that, but like, I guess the bigger picture is the championship, and that's the thing that matters, I guess.
Yeah, we're waiting on confirmation, but I'm pretty sure we should be having a chat to you very, very shortly about that.
I can tell you now,
Keiran,
Dom,
have you got any questions about the
I
race?
have the standings.
Ooh.
I have the drivers' standings, and I will tell you now.
Okay.
The three people.
Okay. Let me bring up the cheat sheet and let me see where everyone is.
Well, I'll put it this way: the three people in this party, you guys are the top three in the drivers' standings.
Yeah, I was to say they finished top 3, and I'm guessing it goes Danny, Gerbil, Lightshock.
So we will. You know what? I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. We're going to continue the post-race interviews as normal. But yeah, no, I will say, Danny, you were very, very strong on that, on those medium tires once you eventually come into the pits. Did the thought of repeating what you did on Tuesday cross your mind, or was it always going to be a one-stop hit?
No safety cars, it was always going to be a one-stop.
Yeah, that is fair enough, mate. Well, congratulations on that P4. I will tell you the driver's standings momentarily. For now, however, we will move on to the driver that finished in P2, Dom. I will let you have a chat with the man who finished first on Tuesday, follows up with a second place here at Singapore in the realistic. It is Botched Gerbil.
Botched Gerbil. How's things, mate?
They're alright.
Good
I
race?
didn't think I could do much more. I think I put everything out there and just, Lightshock just had too much pace, couldn't keep up with him, and then, I got that penalty at the end, just kind of securing his P1, and couldn't really do much more from there.
Yeah, well, it was a strong showing from you this week. I mean, it's been podium after podium after podium after podium for you. Surely, going into next season now, you're on some kind of podium high. because it has been insane the amount of podiums you've had recently and the amount of chats we've had to you. So what I think I'm going to ask you is, after all of this now, how are you feeling going into next season, with a substantial amount of podiums and a really sort of strong pickup of form?
Yeah, obviously I'm quite happy with my form at the end. Definitely want to carry it on next season. But it all depends how much practice we all do in between now and next season. Who grows the most, but wish I could have got this form earlier on. Maybe I could have gotten a little bit more points in a couple more races, but yeah, definitely looking forward to next season. Hopefully to grow some more, keep this form going. Hoping to score more podiums next season, hopefully.
Well, I mean, save some for the rest of the boys, will you? Yeah, great showing tonight. Do you think that you pitted too early? That I think that's the key question here. Do you think that allowing Light Shock to go that extra lap cost you P1?
I did get held up by a Ferrari through the one lap. I had dirty air, and then I went for a move down the first corner, and right as Light Shock was coming out of the pits, and I think that both held us up, and he was able to just get ahead. And I wasn't able to get the move done until the end of the first DRS straight, so yeah, I think pitting that one lap early maybe hindered my P1. I was suffering on those mediums at the end, and Light Shock was right behind me, so I don't know if I would have been able to hold that P1 going an extra lap anyway, so I took the risk pitting early, hoping the undercut would work, but it just wasn't enough, and he got the overcut on me, which very well done. It's hard to do around Singapore, and that's a good move done by him.
Yeah, well, it was a great race, and I enjoyed watching thoroughly. Keiran, have you got any questions, mate?
No, I think you've done and covered everything that I think we needed to cover for Bots Gerbil. So nothing more other than a congratulations on that P2 Bots Gerbil. Very, very strong performance. And like I said with Danny, I will tell you the driver standings in just a moment. But firstly, I'd like to have a chat with a very, very good friend of myself and Dom's, Mr. Lightshock 16. Good evening, Mark.
Oh, we're gonna get a flag for this.
Yes, fucking finally. Hello, lads. Hello.
Hello, my friend.
Oh, good evening,
Sorry,
mate.
if anyone that knows me knows I have a penchant for the dramatics, whether it be in my commentary or my podium interviews or anything like that. I have a sense of drama about me. Hello. Oh, that was a tough one.
Talk us through your race, mate.
Well, going into this race, I knew kind of had to just go kind of balls to the wall for this one because I still had an outside chance for the title, depending on what happened with those around me. Singapore's always been good for me. I've usually been very strong here, and I think I showed that today. Start was a bit off. Danny, I think, had the better start, but I did have to get a little bit elbows out with him at the start, which I do apologise for. And then I think the crucial thing for me was getting the move done on Matt's down the DRS straight, because we could see afterwards, once I got past he did seem to be struggling in that McLaren, and then Stallion made a mistake in the racing point, kind of made one less obstacle for me to overcome, which was helpful, even if it's a shame for him, obviously. It would have been nice to see where he could have done in that racing point. And then, yeah, it kind of just boiled down to me versus Gerbil pretty much for all of that race. I was kind of just trying to pace myself. I did try occasionally getting DRS, but fair play to him. I think that AlphaTauri was doing very well around Singapore, but he was really extracting everything out of it as well. He was doing very well. Both of them, both the AlphaTauri drivers did great in that car today. And yeah, I did notice, I think towards the end of the medium stint, he died. I basically made a decision I'm going to go to lap 12 no matter what. If he pits lap 11, I'm going to try to mother with undercuts. If he doesn't, I think I might have, as you said, I may have had a chance on overtake anyway. I'm sure it wouldn't have been easy though. And yeah, fortunately he got held up. I think it was Sir Sharks in the Ferrari that held him. Managed to just get ahead of Sharks and keep ahead in the DRS. And then it was just a case of trying to maintain that gap, which became a little bit more nervy when I got my first penalty. I think I still just about had enough pace to keep him at 3 seconds, but then when he got his own, that took the pressure off, which was quite relieved about. So yeah, it's been a very up and down season, and to end it on a high is very nice indeed.
Yeah, I can imagine it was very, very nice, especially because that was only your first win of this season in realistic. 3 podiums, but of course this is the first time that you have stepped on the top step of that podium. At any point were you ever thinking that this season could be the season of nearly moments? I nearly got the win.
Well, I've been in a very similar situation to Danny all season. Danny's obviously, this is the first race he hasn't been in a backmarker car. I had one other chance at China in an AlphaTauri, but I had an incident with James lap 1, which kind of, I had to really fight back for the 7th place I ended up with. So I've been in a similar situation to him. The wins have always been very distant. I think the only chance we had were maybe Mexico, and I think there was another one that Danny got a podium on. I had a good chance at USA, but I think that the pace just wasn't quite there in the Williams I was in. It's been difficult for both me and Danny. He's had it harder though, and I think if he has indeed won the title, which I believe he has, fair play to him, because he's been so strong, so consistent in those backmarket cards. I've tried to push him as hard as I can, but yeah, you know, maybe things have gone. I mean, there's a couple of races I can look back to. Australia, I didn't put a setup on like an idiot. Mexico, I had a spin on the final lap, which took me out of second, and I ended up finishing 3rd. I'm sure there's a couple more. I mentioned China, obviously. I think I should have had a better result there. If fate had been kinder, I could have been the champion, but I have no regrets. I had a good season for what it was, and yeah, I'm happy with how things have gone.
Good to hear. Dom, have you got any questions for Lightshot before I put these guys out of their misery?
Yeah, so it's theatrics. You touched on it slightly, and quite a few of your battles with Botch Jibble tonight were quite theatrical, to say the least.
Yeah.
But obviously it came down to tyre strategy. What kind of cemented that you were going medium to hard tonight? Because I think that's what gave you the edge over everyone else.
Medium to hard, honestly, is probably the best strategy here. I know there are some people that will say a 2-stop is faster, and in some situations, 2-stop can be faster. I have seen 2-stop strategies win around here, but the problem is with a 2-stop strategy, you have to be very good with overtaking, and obviously Singapore, it's damn near impossible. There's only a couple places where it can be done, and only one that's relatively decent for overtaking. I don't blame Danny for starting on the hards. It was worth the try, because obviously starting in, I believe started 5th, he might have been swallowed up by some of the guys, but he was, knowing Danny as I do, he's very good on the ultimate strategy, and yeah, he made it. Well, I think he had a bit of. I'm going to assume he had a bit of an incident halfway through the race, because I noticed he really dropped off time. I think he could have been on the podium had that not happened. I think he could have been close enough to AMG Reckless with his 9 seconds of penalties. But I think that's the risk you also take with the alternate strategy, because you're probably going to come out behind some people that you will be able to overtake, but it could always be a bit risky. I was always going to start on the mediums, and then obviously work my strategy around safety cars, but we didn't have any, so it's a fairly simple medium to hard strategy if you can start on that. Obviously, if it had been qualifying, could have been a little bit different. You know, some people may have been forced onto the softs, but we didn't have that caveat, so it made the choice quite easy, to be honest. And yeah, bottled down to a battle between me and Gerbil, and just came out the victor on that one. But it was a good race.
Yeah, well, congratulations on today's race. Next season, you returning?
Don't see why not. Probably still only be the realistic performance one because I'm usually busy on Tuesdays. But if I can be back, I don't see why I wouldn't be. So we'll wait and see what happens. Obviously, see what the new game's like as well. But I have no reason to believe I wouldn't be. So we'll see.
There you go, guys. You heard it here first. Light Shock return for season 13.
Hell yeah.
So, Keiran.
Indeed. So just before I put these guys out of their misery, AMG Reckless has followed the Twitch account. AMG Reckless, thank you for the follow, my friend. Congratulations on that P3, buddy. Massive GGs and a very, very strong finish to the season for you. But now, the moment the drivers in this party have been waiting for. Keith may have already told the guys in the Realistic Performance Drivers Room. Myself and Dom don't have access to that on the Discord. So, I will tell you now, guys, that the three of you are separated by 5 points at the end of the season. In third place, on 176 points. You got the top step of the podium, but it wasn't enough. Light Shock, you have finished third in the driver standings, my friend.
It's fine. I kind of was hoping I'd get the second place, but fair play to Botch. He had a good middle part of the season and probably deserves the second place in the end, but I'll take it. I'll take third though. It's fine.
As Lightshot said, in second place with a total of 177 points, only 1 point ahead of Lightshock 16 is Bot's Gerbil, which means with 181 points, your Season 12 Realistic Performance Drivers Champion, DJ Danny. Congratulations, my friend. Danny, you are Drivers Champion. How does it feel, my friend?
Feels good. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah. Congrats to the other guys. They pushed me hard all season. And yeah, it's just it's a shame that I couldn't get a win. To be honest, that's probably the only regret of the season. But you know, to get the win of the championship with no wins at all is probably, I don't know, probably a better achievement. I don't know how it depends on what the way you want to look at it, really.
Well, I mean, to win driver's title without getting a win, Lewis Hamilton couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And you had to do it in a harder car too.
It's always Dom with Lewis Hamilton. He always talks about Lewis Hamilton, for God's sake.
It's because I hate him. With a passion.
But yeah, I mean, to get 2 podiums in a Williams, and I mean, I had all but 3 races, I think it was, in the Williams car, and yeah, it was tough some races, but other races it was okay. But I guess that's kind of the luck of the draw. And hopefully next season, with the cars being closer in real life, and well, apart from past maybe, hopefully it'll be a lot closer, and it means that we can fight the guys at the front a bit more.
Hashtag DJ Danny for Haas.
Now,
Mercedes
Dom.
next season.
Be nice, Dom. Be nice.
I'll be nice. To be fair, no one wants the Haas. The Haas shouldn't even be on the grid this year. Let's be honest.
But no, I will say massive congratulations to you, Danny, on that Drivers' Championship here in the Realistic Performance. Obviously, coupling it up with the Constructors' Championship that you did manage to get in the Equal Performance League. I will also tell you guys that Botched, yourself and the Josh32 did finish third in the Constructors' Championship. Danny, yourself and Fairmoto finished second in the Drivers' Championship, and your Constructors' Champions, and your Constructors' Champions this season, for Season 12 of the Invictus Racing League Realistic Performance, are the Shark Nipples F1 team of James F1 ETC and Sir Sharks. So massive congratulations to those guys for winning the Constructors' Championship. But unfortunately, guys, that does bring us to the end of our broadcast this evening. So a massive congratulations again to our podium here in Singapore, as well as a massive congratulations to our Season 12 Drivers' Champion, DJ Danny. But however, this does bring us to the end of our broadcast here this evening, and to the end of our season here in Xbox Realistic Performance. I just want to say, on behalf of myself, Andrew Gatton, Dom the Noodle, and Matty Valander, the entirety of the broadcast team here at Xbox Invictus, a massive, massive thank you to Craig8728 for giving us all the chance to commentate for Invictus. A massive thank you to Fairmoto for always being our point of contact and giving us those race documents to assist us with broadcast. Massive thank you to the admin team and all of the drivers for giving us top quality racing for us to be able to commentate on and ensuring that everything runs so smoothly. But most importantly, the biggest thanks of all go to you guys, the viewers, for joining us each and every week and continuing to support Invictus Racing League on all of our platforms. So I guess all that's left to say is, for more IRL racing action, be sure to head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/InvictusRL. Follow us on Twitter at InvictusRL for the main Invictus account, and at InvictusRL_Xbox for the Xbox side of things. Check us out on Instagram at Invictus Racing League, and be sure to check out the website InvictusRacingLeague.com. But until next time, until next season, from myself, Keiran92, and Dom the Noodle, this has been Season 12 of Xbox Realistic Performance at the Invictus Racing League. Thank you for watching.